Hello students, in last class we come to know what is the meaning and features of IFRS. So IFRS is nothing but creating a global set of standards to the worldwide of all public companies by preparation of its financial statements and financial reports. That is what we call it as IFRS. And we can see some of the features of IFRS in last class. So in this class, what are the who will take the advantage of implementing the IFRS? That is what we call it as beneficiaries from the implementation of IFRS and disadvantage of IFRS we can analyze. So we'll see initially the first one is the investors. So investors here refers to, we know nowadays every company has to look over the cross-border investments. Cross-border investments is nothing but the movement of funds from one country to another country is more. So on that time, the investors mainly focus on its financial reports and financial statements. So for the particular reason, so investors will prefer IFRS. It will be the safest mode of investment because they come to know what kind of standards, that uniform standards across the world where that they can use. So no matter that they can easily understand the standards and they can easily understand the financial reports and the transparency of accounting that we happen. So to investors, from investor point of view, the investors will get the first benefit of comparability, future understanding and simplest form of doing accounts. So anything, that is what we call it as the first benefit who will take, the investors, because investors always seek their investments transparent. They may get rigidity of doing different financial statements and different financial reports, anything. So with the help of IFRS, what happens, the single set of financial reports will come across the different countries. It will be easy for doing and easy for accountability and easy to understand. That is the first, those are the first benefits called as investors. Next, the industry. So how industry, and secondly who get the benefit in the sense means the industry. So always the industry seeks for foreign direct investment, the foreign money, the foreign investors. The main aim is to attract the foreign investments to make their productive more easy and to export the products to the foreign countries. So on this situation, the entire world is transforming into globalization. On that time, industries plays a key role. Industries plays a key role. In this scenario, they need one simple and one uniform standard of process of accounting. So here, with the help of IFRS, what happens? They can easily attract the foreign investors. They can easily attract the foreign investors, and they can easily preparation of financial reporting at a single time. There is no point of reporting financial reporting for home country ones, financial reporting for foreign country ones. It will become a double burden for the industry. At the same time, it leads to sort of different calculations at the end. So from industry point of view, they'll get the huge benefit of doing the single set of standards, and they'll get easily the foreign revenue into their industries. That is what the second one is called, industry. And when you look at the third one, accounting professionals. The accounting professionals, it might be a master of accounts, or it might be a chartered accountants, auditors, anything, financials, anything. For example, if anyone is going to do some, being an accounting professional in India, they have to study the syllabus what are given by the accounting body in India or government in India. So they're going to prepare the financial statements, they're going to audit the company's books of accounts based on the Indian accounting standards. So when what happens in this time, the professionals expertise activities limited to the country called India. They cannot audit American system, they cannot audit the European accounts because they cannot be a professionals in their courses. If you are a professional, if you are an accounting professional, because of certain set of limited accounting standards, your knowledge and expertise will going to limit to certain period. That means certain area. But with the help of IFRS, if you study globally, if you are being a professional globally, if you had a wide scope of doing your activities across the world and sharing your experience across the world. So on that is what you call it as accounting professionals will get a benefit of doing their services across the world and being professionals at the worldwide level. That is what you call it as accounting professionals. Then the corporate world. The corporate world, nothing but the companies, the listed companies. So we'll have certain conditions. What are the companies that will implement IFRS? So even the corporate world is one of the important part of any economy because of the MNCs and foreign resources. So a number of factors will leads to become important role in a country's economy. So the corporate world try to standardize. The corporate world try to standardize in a single set of form called as IFRS. So the corporate world also will get a easy benefit of doing accounting information, and for them mainly strategy formulation and strategy making and decision making is very important. So for them IFRS is very benefited for them to give them especially the financial information and accounting information to them people. So corporate world is get much benefited from IFRS. Then the whole economy, as we know, investors are part of economy, industry is a part of economy, so all accounting professionals in corporate world, all these people are getting benefited from IFRS. Obviously it multiplies the benefit of the economy, because when the kingpins in the economy, when the key players in the economy will get benefited, automatically the entire economy will get benefited. So it leads to it does not lead to any of confusions while developing of economy. Transparency of system will come. So it indirectly increases the economical activities more and more and make more transparency of economic activities. It leads to development of economy and development of GDP. So indirectly these are the people who get benefited from the IFRS. Let's see some of the disadvantages of IFRS. See, until now we can see some of the benefits or the beneficiaries while implementing of IFRS. We'll see what are the disadvantages of IFRS. The first one is increase the cost for implementation of IFRS, especially for small firms. So IFRS is already implemented mandatory for certain companies with specified conditions. Even though if it is mandated for small companies, so it will be a financial burden for the company to implement IFRS, because they have as for example, take example of GST. GST is eliminate the state VAT system. So now only the one tax that GST will comes under. So what are the small firms that they can meet the national level acceptance or national level payment of tax? Either might be a small business or big business, no matter. Every month they have to fill the GST returns to the government. At the end of the year, based on the income or turnover, they are going to pay the tax. But you can observe one thing, the maintenance cost will be same for all firms now. So what happens at the time, if it is if you are paying tax, if you are earning more and paying tax, no issue. If you're not earning, if you are earning nothing, even though you have to maintain some maintenance, you have to make some maintenance cost for GST, it will be a burden for the small firms. Like that, IFRS also like this only. If you implement it at the world level only for few companies, those who do cross-border transactions, no issues. When the day by day pass on, it will become mandated for all the companies. At the time it will become very difficult for small companies to bear the IFRS system. So they need a separate auditors, they need a separate accountants, international standards they have to maintain the local level. So it will become very difficult for acceptance and doing everything itself. It's a very huge, it requires very huge amount of separate session, separate part you have to make in your budget. So small companies cannot bear those kind of expenses. That is what we call it as increases the cost for implementation of IFRS. So it will become burden for the small companies, especially for the companies who are doing local businesses. That means the products will within the national level products, it will become very difficult to implement the IFRS. Then standards manipulation. So I told you already, anyone is doing accounting based on certain set of accounting principles and accounting concepts given by the government or any accounting statutory body. So what happens suddenly if IFRS comes, standards, the existing standards may collapse one time, they try to implement the new standards. So on that time what happened, the existing standards, you have to change something or you have to modify something, then you have to implement. The existing standards lost its originality. The existing lost its originality. That is what we call it as standards manipulation. That is what we call it as standards manipulations. So what happens if you set a standards for in a global level? So what happens? All national level standards will come to an end. So it indirectly changes the local standards. That is what we call it as standards manipulation. The next one, changes in auditing procedure. You know, one of the important area is auditing at the end of the year. So auditing procedure might be same. Auditing procedure might not be same in different countries. But one country has given certain guidelines for auditors. They have a separate syndicate. A syndicate will use certain auditing programs. They have certain set of principles, practices. Based on that, they will do the auditing function. It's a very huge process of a company auditing. So suddenly, if you are doing IFRS, the auditing practices will not match up your IFRS standards. No, there is no use of implementing IFRS. If you are maintaining accounts as per IFRS, the auditing practices also should be in the level of same international level. So when the auditing practices are not at international level, there is no point of implementing IFRS. Again, it collapses. So again, the system clashes. IFRS standards, you are maintaining books of accounts, but auditing at national level. So both will not match. There is no point of doing auditing over there. That is what we call it as changes in auditing procedure at international level. It might be not a very easy task. It very difficult to implement across the world. Then changes in education level as well. I told you already. If you become a CA holder, has to pass CA in Indian level. There is no uniform standards to become IFRS. There is no uniform standards to make them meet the requirements of IFRS. That means from the base level you have to make the changes of doing in syllabus also. It might be very difficult for countries like India. So right from the root level of the commerce and the root level of the basic accounting principles that you have to start changing. So it takes certain time. So it may not possible to meet immediately the IFRS. So from next year onwards, the entire country is implementing IFRS standards. There is no one qualified people in India to meet the standards of IFRS. So if IFRS implements, it changes the base level education system also. That is what we call changes in education level as well. Then still require global acceptance. So we always compare our rupee with a dollar because we are doing more transactions with US. So still now US is not accepted the IFRS standards. So IFRS starts from 2006, but there will be almost entire globally there's a single set of standards. But still the US companies follow US GAAP. United States generally accepted accounting principles. So they are not converged with IFRS. They have their own set of standards. They are still implementing that. What they said, this will be a global standards. So everyone will follow this. So what IFRS doing? IFRS try to converge with this. So not only US, many countries like Republic countries like North Korea or China, they're not in a positive mood to change the standards with IFRS. So it might be still in a question mark across the world because it needs certain global acceptance. So these are what we call it as the drawbacks of disadvantages of IFRS.